Welcome to A White Woman in Distress. I'm Amber, your host, and this is a special mini-series dedicated to unknown persons. Over time, remains have been found or bodies of those who are remembered only as Jane or John Does. These nameless victims, the unidentified souls who left behind stories that have yet to be told. In each episode, we'll explore the details of their disappearances, any mysteries surrounding their deaths, and the efforts to uncover their identities. Though they may be forgotten by many, we are here to shine a light on their cases. If you recognize any of the photos or details, please reach out to the local FBI, NamUs, or your local authorities. This content may include sexual assault, murder, violence. Listener discretion is advised. Please hang out, tag along, and let's get started. Today, we'll be diving into the haunting and mysterious case of a woman known only as the Oak Grove Jane Doe. This case has remained unsolved since her body was discovered in Clackamas County, Oregon, 1946. Let's unpack the tragic story of Jane Doe and its disturbing details surrounding her death. In the early morning hours on April 13th, 1946, 3 fishermen made a shocking discovery in the Willamette River near Oak Grove, Oregon. Floating along the river was the torso of a young woman, fully clothed and wrapped in feed sacks. The sacks were tied securely with a telephone cord and weighed down with window sash weights, seemingly an attempt to prevent her remains from surfacing. The woman's head, arms, and legs had been sawed off with precision, suggesting her killer possessed knowledge of anatomy. This gruesome detail, combined with the evidence of blunt force trauma to her head, confirmed that her death was no accident and it was in fact a homicide. Which, I mean, duh. I know she couldn't have, killed herself, nor had an animal done it, and then just, wrapped her up in a bag and then tied it with a telephone cord. And it's definitely not an accident. So, yeah, duh. Homicide, murder. The following day, on April 14th, 5 boatmen located more of her remains approximately 6 miles from where her torso was found. Her arms and legs were also wrapped in sacks, and they were recovered. One of the boatmen later recalled seeing the sacks floating in the water as far back as 30 days prior to their retrieval, but it wasn't 6 months after their initial discovery that the victim's head was finally recovered from Willamette River in the Oak Grove area. By the time decomposition had made identifying her incredibly difficult, investigators estimated Jane Doe's age to be between 30 and 59. She was a white female, approximately 5'2" or 5'4", and she weighed between 115 to 125 pounds. Her hair was brown with graying strands, and notably, it had been styled with curlers and pins. Her dental records revealed that her upper teeth were false, likely a full set of dentures. Her lower teeth, however, remained intact, with 8 of them containing fillings. These details were carefully documented in the case that one day this would lead to her identification. When Jane Doe's torso was found, she was fully dressed. She was wearing brown slacks, a dark blue sweater, and a long underclothing. She also had on a black dress material and topcoat. These items of clothing offered few clues as to her identity or her killer's motives. One of the most chilling aspects of this case is the precision in which her body was dismembered. Medical examiners noted that the cuts were clean and deliberate, indicating that the perpetrator had a significant understanding of human anatomy. This detail had led to many theorizing that the killer may have been a butcher, a surgeon, or someone with expertise in dissection. Despite the critical insight, investigators were never able to identify a suspect. The case grew colder as the months and years passed. In 1946, technology was non-existent. Fingerprints, DNA, and other modern methods of identification were just unavailable to investigators. While dental records and clothing were documented, they provided no definitive leads. So it wasn't like you had a search bar for the specific clothing items, where she may have gotten them, and if she didn't live in the area, she was brought to the area. It's just, we don't know anything. Witnesses who found the body and its various parts reported seeing the sacks in the river weeks before the discovery, suggesting that the killer had been confident in their ability to hide this crime. Yet nobody came forward with information about a missing persons matching Jane Doe's description, and no suspect was ever identified. This case has been under the jurisdiction of the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and the County Medical Examiner's Office for decades. The agencies continue to keep Jane Doe's case active, and her nameless account number is listed as 12778. If you have any information about this case, you can contact the Clackamas County Medical Examiner's Office at 971-673-8300 or the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office at 503-723-4949. There are many theories about who Jane Doe was and why she was met with such a violent end. Why was someone's wife, sister, or mother murdered? Was her killer a stranger, or was this just a case of domestic violence taken to the unthinkable extreme? The level of anatomical precision suggests that this was a planned and deliberate act, but the lack of leads makes it difficult to determine the motive. Was this a crime of passion, or was this a crime of something larger, such as a serial offender's pattern? We simply don't know, which is puzzling. Jane Doe's case is a reminder of how many stories remain untold and how many victims remain unidentified. Though decades have passed, the possibility of solving this case is not out of reach. Advances in forensic technology combined with public awareness could one day provide the answers for Jane Doe and to her family. They deserve to know what happened to her. If you or anyone you know has any information about this case, no matter how small, please consider coming forward. Every clue, no matter how small, could be the key to solving this mystery. Thank you for joining me, and if you want to follow, like, subscribe, you can check out more of my miniseries and then more of my missing teens, kids, adults on my regular seasons. Until then, stay safe, and remember, if you see something, say something and do something.